Welcome to the Duck Pyramid, where I rate my ducks based on their behaviors the past week, but I'm sure you can tell this is not a pyramid, and that's for good reason. The ducks put me under an immense amount of stress, and quite honestly, there was no real good way to rate the ducks based on what they did with only 4 levels, so this is what we ended up with. But before I share with you where each duck falls on the ranking, there is a little bit of a backstory so that you can understand how all of this happened. So I wake up bright and early like I do every day to let the ducks out of their coop and walk to their pen. Except on this day, it was raining, and because it was raining, I had an umbrella with me. On this particular day, the ducks woke up and decided that they were going to be terrified of umbrellas. You can probably see where this is going. But when I opened the door to the coop, all of the ducks flew out and flew in different directions. And that, my friends, is how we got ourselves here. But without further ado, at the very, very bottom of our pyramid, honestly, I wish I could put this duck on the floor, we have Donut. Now, not only did Donut fly into the woods, where everything around her is brown, and she's brown, so she was very hard to find, when I did find her, she would fly away again, and again, and again. So I'm going through the whole community, sopping wet because I don't have an umbrella. Now luckily for Donut here, someone spotted her before a hawk did and gave me a call, so I ran over to where she was spotted, which was 2 communities away from where we live, and tried to find Donut, but of course she was already nowhere to be found. And of course, with just my luck, the house that Donut was last spotted at was really, really creepy, but I of course walked up and I knocked on their door because I wanted permission to look for Donut around their property, and no one answered because it turned out the house was abandoned, and that's probably why it was really creepy. But anyways, I finally gave up looking for Donut there, and I went to go back home to get another duck to hopefully call her back over to me, and as I was leaving, I see her in the driveway of a mansion. So, as one does, I slam the brakes of my car, run over to Donut, and she just sits down. And then as soon as I am just about to pick her up, she decides, I'm out, and flies into a fence. Obviously, she hit the fence and fell down, so then I picked her up and threw her in my car and told her she was a very bad duck. I feel like this placing is honestly too high for her, and we might just have to move her down. There you go, Donut. And in our next tier of really bad ducks, we have Raven. Raven acted very similar to Donut, as every time I saw her in the woods, she would dart into the ferns, I would knock all the ferns down, and she would be nowhere. At one point, Raven actually returned to the duck pen with all the other ducks, so I approached the pen to open the door, and she took off again. But lucky for me, after hours upon hours of searching in the rain for Raven, she did show up all on her own right back to the pen, and I opened the door and she went right in. But after her fun day of adventuring in the woods, she returned home with just one little cut on her foot. So I guess I can't really complain. And then we have Hash Brown Montana. This one was really surprising for me because hash brown and avocado toast almost never separate from one another, and when they do, they call very loudly to each other so they're able to locate each other and waddle on over very quickly. But when I had avocado toast in my possession, hash brown was nowhere to be found. And that's because she was actually at our neighbor's house hanging out in their garage. So luckily she was able to be captured, and I went and picked her up. And moving up, we have slightly less bad ducks, starting with Maple. So Maple was actually kind of smart about this. When he got scared of the umbrella, he just went under the deck. And that's fine and all, except I can't fit under the deck, so I could not get him out. I literally had to wait him out and just hope that he would eventually decide to come out, and he did. But I am fully convinced that the only reason he came out as quickly as he did was because he could no longer hold himself back from mating with the female ducks. And that brings us to our next duck, Mr. Whip. Mr. Whip also flew into the woods, but lucky for me, he's white, so he doesn't blend in with anything. He was fairly easy to spot, although when I did approach him, he of course tried to fly away, but then he got stuck on a branch, so he was kind of easy to catch. And next up, we have Chip. Chip was not involved in Duckgate 2022, but he does make a pretty good marker for the separation between the bad ducks and the good ducks. So thanks for being here, Chip. you actually showed up this time. Hi. And moving up into our good duck tiers, we actually have two ducks that are equal. So we have Bubbles and Avocado Toast. Now, while Bubbles and Avocado Toast did fly away when they initially saw the umbrella, it only took them less than 10 minutes to make their way to the pen and put themselves in there all by themselves. So I gotta give them credit for that. Although I am still a little bit disappointed in Toast for not trying to locate her sister Hash Brown. Normally we only have one duck on top, but this week we actually ended up with two ducks on top. Our top duck of the week that was involved in Duckgate 2022 is Sugar. Now, I know this is coming as a huge surprise to most of us because Sugar is still my angriest duck, but that actually worked out in her favor this time because Sugar has a perfect hiding spot already inside of the pen, so when Sugar got scared, she just took her usual route right to the pen and stood in the corner like always. She was actually the only duck to head straight for the pen, so she kind of earned her spot here. And next to Sugar this week, we have Munchkin. Munchkin actually was not at the coop at the time of Duckgate 2022 because she was at my house quarantining from the other ducks. Munchkin had a super mild illness, just like humans. Ducks get sick too sometimes, but I obviously didn't want her to spread whatever she had to the other ducks, so took her to the vet, got her checked out, and they recommended a quarantine for her, so she got to hang out with me for a bit, and I enjoyed having her as a roommate. Hopefully nothing crazy happens this week, so our pyramid doesn't have to look like this, but if you want to see which ducks level up and which ducks level down, join us here next week. And in case you were wondering, there will probably be no more umbrellas in my future, and I will just simply embrace the rain.